Hey, good morning. This is Rabbi Shlomo First here in Yerushalyim, HaKodesh at Yeshiva Tsama Nafshi, located on HaKodesh number 6 in the Beit Knesset of HaKodesh. It's not too far from the central bus station, so you can walk from there, take a bus. If you're driving a green car, that's great. And there's parking across the street. So, especially if you're coming from Hutzlard, please make it a point to contact us and join us for our shiurim here at Tsama Nafshi. We'd like to help enrich your visit to Yerushalyim with as much Torah as possible. We're learning Pirkei Avos right now, our first year in the morning, about 9 o'clock in the morning in general. And we're just finishing up, hopefully today, last day on this last Nakuda, and Rabbeinu Yonah's final explanation of the statement of Rabbi Yossi ben Yochanan Ish Yerushalayim. That point we're discussing is Al Tar B'Sichik Me'isha. You shouldn't have extensive conversations with a woman. Be'ishto Amru, we're talking about a person's own wife. Right? Kol v'chomer Be'ishes Kaver, even more so if it's the wife of somebody else. And from here, Mekan Omru Chachamim, Chazal have said, based on this, Kol Zman Shadam Marba B'Sichik Me'isha, anytime that a person is going to have extensive conversations with a woman, Gorm Rala Atzmo, he's going to cause detriment to himself. With Botom Midivrei Torah, he's going to be not learning Torah. And so for Yerush Gehenim, he's going to become a stockholder, a landholder in Gehenim, Rahman al-Islam. And Ben Yor is going to finally explain what this is all talking about. Let's look at the last paragraph. Mekan Amru Chachamim.
Yes, last paragraph.
Go ahead, yeah.
Mekan Amru Chachamim Kol Hamarbe Sicha Im Ha'isha Garam Ra'al Atzmo. From here, the sages have said that anyone who increases conversation with a woman brings upon himself evil. Kilamar, this is to say, Garam She Hayetzer HaMitzgavar Alav She Nikra Ra. That is to say that he brings upon the Yetzer, Yetzer Hara, I presume.
We're referring to Yetzer Hara. Maybe so when depending on who's using the expression, whether it's Rishonim, Achronim, Hazal, even perhaps sometimes, Yetzer is usually just the plain definition of Yetzer would be like urge. Mm-hmm. So you can have spiritual urges and good urges, right? Shifas, right? There's Yetzers and there's Shifas. Shifas are like aspirations.
Shifa?
Shifa is an aspiration, right?
Shin Yud?
Shin Yud, if I'm not mistaken. Shifa is an aspiration. That's something which is involving the spiritual aspects of the person, the intellect of the person, right? A shifa, he has a shifa. It could be a shifa for something bad too. A person has a shifa to conquer the world. A person has a shifa to break into fork knots. It could be a shifa for something which is not told, but it's involving him, his whole being. Shifa is involving the whole being. Yetzer is simply an urge, right? An urge. It could be a physical urge. It could be a spiritual urge. We have Yetzer Tov and Yetzer Hara. Right, so the Yetzer Hara base, it's called Yetzer Hara because it's evil, detrimental, if it's abused. For example, that a person has a Yetzer to eat, right? He has a physical urge to eat, right? So, but he can overeat, he can do wrong things which are not kosher, he can eat things so that physical urge is there for a good reason, because even an infant at day one has to cry when he feels hungry, otherwise mother will maybe simply forget about him and go on about with the daily routine. So baby's crying. Why is the baby crying? Because he doesn't know anything about this life yet. All he knows is that he's not getting what he needs. He knows he needs something, so the body's telling him he needs something. What is it? He doesn't know. So he cries in response to this bad feeling, right? And so you need to have that. So you have the what we call the Yetzer Hara, the physical inclinations, basically, and then you have the Yetzer Tov, which are the spiritual aspirations. That your person has spiritual aspirations, he wants to try and accomplish spiritually. So you have to have a balance between the two. And the way to balance that is basically through Torah. Torah gives the person the intellect the hashkafa, the viewpoint, the attitude, the correct attitudes to balance what he needs to do to sustain his body in a healthy way, and at the same time to use the body as a means, a vehicle to achieve his spiritual goals, which is really what he's here for.
So the Shefa involves the whole being, and the Yetzer is mostly the neshama?
I'm not sure. It could be the neshama. It could be like that would be maybe like what we call the nefesh, like the animalistic spirit, the ruach. The Yetzer is like an urge which is more physically based, not necessarily involving the whole of the person. It can take over the person. A person can have a Yetzer, a physical urge that's so strong that it consumes him entirely. You know, and that's what he's thinking about. That's what we're trying to do. That's but it starts off as basically a physical need, right? Which, if it's controlled, is very good, right? But that's the whole concept of learning and musr and control over a person, self-control. Self-control is the basis for, that's almost what we call derech eretz. Derech eretz is common with Torah. Derech eretz is not simply thinking with common sense, but self-control. Self-control, just like you don't just do and say everything that you feel like you want to, although, unfortunately people are taught that that's the don't hold it back, that's not true. The person has to learn to restrain himself and use his koichas, physical powers, intellectual powers, spiritual powers. He has to use them in constructive ways. So, but he needs to be taught how to do that. Yeah. Oh, so it says, Kolom Gorm Sheyetzer Mizgaber Olav. He's causing Gorm. He's causing Sheyetzer Mizgaber Olav. Gorm. He's causing that the Yetzer, that the urge, overcomes him. His Gaber overpowers him. Shenikra Ra, which that itself is called Ra. If a person's going to be consumed, conquered, overpowered by the Yetzer Hara, by the physical urges, inclinations, so that's bad. That's bad. A person's not put into this world that he should be reduced to a organism that's functioning on a physical level. Right? We're much more than that. Okay.
Kada Amre, Gadol Yetzer Hara Sheb Boro. So this is to say the greatest Yetzer Hara that he created.
Gadol Yetzer Hara Sheboroi Korah, that his creator. That's a reference to HaKodesh Baruch Hu. Sheboro Korah Ra, that his creator called him Ra.
Okay. So Sheboro means HaKodesh Baruch Hu.
I believe so. Sheboro, that his creator Korah Ra, that the one who created him, HaKodesh Baruch Hu, called it, what was created was called Ra.
I see. Okay.
Well, there's a very big. Well, let's continue with what he says and we'll finish.
And here's a pasuk: Shenat Mar Embrashis Ched Kaf Aleph Ki Yetzar Lev Ha'adam Ra Mina Orav, and the heart of man is wicked from his youth. V'zeh Ish Baram Hara La'atzmo, and this is referring to someone who brings evil upon himself. Shenatan Lo Makom
V'hazmona. V'hazdamna, right? Okay, v'hazdamna, yeah, okay.
What does that mean?
Okay, let's finish the sentence now.
Okay.
He's gorm ra la'atzmo shenosim lo mokum as he's nosim lo mokum. Mokum in this case, like, is an opportunity. Yeah. Was called, or was given himself in a, he's put himself in a situation, right?
He's placed himself in a place with an opportunity. Lahaz damna, lahadbek begufo, to something to cling to his with his body. Al yidei hasicha, to engage in conversation with a woman, v'hafritz al ha-midos, and to break or to cause to shatter upon his midos, his attributes, tear exceedingly.
Okay, let's back up and do this. Okay, again. So you just put the pasuk, Ki Yetzer La Leiv Adam Ra Memiro. Okay, so that's just the finishing of the previous point. That the Yetzer Hara was called Ra, and the person who's going to be marked with Sikha Be'isha, that's going to cause Ra to himself. How is that? Now he's talking about this particular situation. Za'ish Goram Ra La'atzmo. This person who's now engaging in excessive conversations with women, he's causing evil detriment to himself. Why? Or how? That he has given himself a opportunity and placed himself in a situation to cling, the dabek, the gufo, to cling to his physical body. And he's getting himself. He's causing himself to be physically interested and aroused, right? They see that through this conversation. Show me, sir, how you.
That's not here today.
What?
That's not here today.
No.
Sick?
Oh. The last paragraph, in the middle of the last paragraph. So again, Zehayish Gorm Ralas. Why is he causing bad detriment to himself? That he's put himself in a situation and given himself an opportunity to cling, to connect to his body. Through his making connection, right, to his goof, right, to his goof. Which is and once a person is, we always try and elevate ourselves up and beyond the group, right? We don't. The more that a person is physically involved, and physically involved with his own body, that's going to consume his thoughts and his interests and his emotions, right? So we try and elevate ourselves above the group, right? We use the group as a means to achieve our spiritual aspirations. But just like a rider on a horse, right? When the horse decides to roll around in the mud, the rider gets off the horse, right? He doesn't want to roll around in the mud with the horse, right? Not at all, right? So the body also, when the body gets going and doing what it wants to do, right? So you're supposed to separate from that. I mean, you have to, depending on what it is. Basically, you have 4 or 5 different basic bodily functions and needs. You have eating, drinking, sleeping. You have relations and a few other things on the side. Okay, so you have these things. So when a person is involved with these things, the general rule is, right, kol ma'asecha l'shem shamayim. That a person should have in mind when he's doing anything and everything, right? Means that a person should have all his actions should be in the service of the HaKodesh Baruch Hu.
Which day?
They.
Wonderful.
Read the Mechaber there.
From the top?
Yeah, right from the Mechaber. Reish Lamed. That's Shekol Chavanosav Yi L'Shem Shemayim. All your intentions should be L'Shem Shemayim.
Oh, I see.
Now, take a look at what the Mechaber says here.
Okay. Im
אי אפשר.
אם אי אפשר ללמוד below Shnat Zaharayim Yishan, if it's impossible for him to learn without sleep,
So in the afternoon, without sleeping in the afternoon.
without sleeping in the afternoon, Yishan.
Sure, you should sleep. Meaning, if it's impossible, if a person is drowsy, he's finding it difficult to learn to concentrate, right? So even though you're not supposed to sleep during the day, assuming that you had a proper night's sleep, that's the background to this halakha. The background to this halakha is you're supposed to get a good night's sleep, right? And even if you did get a good night's sleep, but if you find yourself somewhat tired for some reason or another, so even though you're not really supposed to sleep during the day, Yoshem, if you needed to and be able to learn, so go to sleep for and take a nap. And let's continue. Yeah, just leave it there. Bilancho, yeah, we'll go to the Machab here.
בלבד שלא יאריך בה שאסור לישון ביום, so long as he does not extend into the Isser of sleeping during the day.
Right.
Okay. Exceedingly yoter. Mishnat hasus, because he becomes like a horse.
Right. Mishnat sus, you shouldn't sleep more than the sleep of a horse's sleep, which is that they say shishim nishim, more or less like less than an hour or so. The horse doesn't sleep very much. It sleeps very much.
Shehu Shtein Nashmei.
Shtein Nishmi. Shtein Nishmi, like 60 moments, 16 minutes.
I see.
Exactly what that time is, the post can talk about what that time is, if it's 18 minutes or actually 60 minutes or so, that's a separate...
How do you know this is 60?
Sometimes the shin and the suffers transferable.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Shishi.
So instead of saying shishim, it says shishim. Okay, shishim. Nishmei va'af hazeh, and despite this, hamna'at, the person who reduces sleep.
Yeah, va'af hazeh hamad. Even with this small amount, even with this small amount of sleep.
Oh, I see. Okay. Va'af hazeh, and even with this hamna'at, lo yitehev kavanato lehana'at. His kavanah might still not be good enough.
Well, even with this small amount, lo teh kavanaso lahanas gufo. His intention should not be for the bodily pleasure involved. Not doing it for the sake of the pleasure of what he's going to do in going to sleep. Like Ella. Meaning, what is his kavanah? What is his proper intention that he should have?
Rather, lachazik, to strengthen his body, la'avodat Hashem, to serve Hashem, became the whole mash that which he benefits from.
Right. All the pain, that, and likewise with everything that he gets pleasure, all the pleasures, and all those benefits, all those pleasures that he gets in Olam Hazeh.
Lo yichavein lahanatzo, should not intend to benefit from it, ela, except habore, the creator, yitbarach. Kedachtiv, as it says, bechol derechecha de'ehu.
With all your behaviors, you shall know him. You shall acknowledge him, and you should, with all your behaviors, all your actions, right, in all your ways, you should be recognizing Kadosh Baruch Hu. And whatever you're doing, you should be doing it with the Kadosh Baruch Hu.
V'amrim hachamim kol ma'asecha yu
Shem Shemayim.
l'shem Shemayim.
Yeshiva, right?
She'afilu devarim shel reshut so that even the words of the government.
Well, here, Afilu Devarim, even this is things, not words. Sometimes Devarim means words, sometimes it means things. Here, things. Shafilu things, Shalushus, even those things which are permissive. Meaning it's not necessarily a mitzvah, it's not necessarily a rare, it's something which is in the gray area of things which are permissive. Go.
Kagon ha'achila v'ashtia, such as eating and drinking, the halicha and walking, the yeshiva and sitting, the kima and getting up, the tashmish, and I guess going to sleep.
Yeah, marital relations.
I see. The tashmish, the hasicha and conversation, the kol tzarchei haguf, the gufcha, all the needs of your body, you, kulam, la'avodat, borecha, for the service of your Creator.
Right, so everything that you're doing in this world, and especially everything that gives you a benefit, a pleasure, right, in this world, everything, all those things should be done, right, for the sake of serving the HaKodesh Baruch Hu, your Creator.
It's very difficult to have that kavanah all the time.
Well, it takes practice. It's not something. First of all, people aren't trained in it. Number one, and then you have to have training in it, and then you have training in it, and you have to practice.
What about like a bowl of ice cream? Like how is that tastes very good? You know,
Sure.
How is that served in HaKodesh Baruch Hu? Me like getting a lot of geschmack out of that bowl of ice cream.
Yeah. So the way psychologically, the way we work is in general, if a person feels relaxed, content, then he'll be able to learn better, he'll be able to guide better, be able to interact with people. There's whole concept of pashakas, having bread in the morning. Of course, you say whether it has to be exactly, specifically bread, or other things can be in place of bread. That's another question. But the whole concept of pashakas is one of the basic explanations is it gives a person the nutrition that he needs, number one, and gives him the feeling of satiation of being full. So he's not on edge that he's not having nutrition, and he's not having a feeling of being satisfied. So without those feelings, the person's jittery, he's nervous, he's sharp in dealing with people. You get into fights more easily, right? You can get into have mistakes, right? You can drive too fast. You can be sleepy if he's not eating properly. So all these things are in aid of just taking care of your basic needs, right? It's known the exposure to the elements, fatigue, all these kind of things wear on a person, and even they may not cause, they might not be a invasive, damaging factors to their physical body, but by not giving the body what it needs, it's a passive aggression to the body. And so the body feels it. So yes, if the ice cream is something which is going to be something that you're going to be happy with, and that feeling of happiness is going to give you a better attitude towards you, and you'll be able to concentrate more, and you'll be able to interact with people better. So that has a purpose in serving the Lord. Right? The Yeshiva of Steinberg used to say, you have a check. And it has, what is that? 10 zeros on the check. 10 zeros on the check. The whole value of the check depends where you're going to put the one. Put the one at the end of the zeros, on the right side of the zeros, it's worth very little. If you put it on the left side of the zeros, it's worth billions, right? So that's the whole concept of kavanah. We're doing the same thing. You're eating the ice cream anyway. You're eating bread anyway. You're having some vegetables anyway. Going on your bicycle for a ride anyway, right? The question is just ask yourself, why am I really doing this? You know? And that changes that. Puts the zero at the beginning and puts the zero at the end.
Right.
So it takes training. It takes a little bit training. But there are ways to train and ways to be successful to do it. Sometimes you don't remember it all the time, but again you can like have this as like a background program. It's proposed to have a background program. It's always running. It's always running. Right? So you can train yourself so this kind of attitude and thought process, it's like always there. It takes a little bit of time, but you can be successful with it.
And the idea of Pas Shachar is in the Mishnah Berurah?
Yeah, it's in Gemara mentions it, Mishnah Berurah mentions it as well. Yeah.
I have a Rav who was in the habit of having bread every morning, and I was wondering about that.
Yeah, it's Pas Shachar, for sure.
Are we back in the Mishnah Berurah?
We can go in this, a lot more to do with this, but let's just finish the Ben Yonah. So that's what he says. He's by the man, this man who's increasing overly his conversation with a woman or with women, right? He's causing a detriment to himself. He's putting himself in a situation, and he's giving himself an opportunity to connect with his goof, right, through the sikha. The Hifritz, go ahead.
The Hifritz al Hamidos, and this means that he ruins his character traits.
Well, yeah, but it's also like Hifritz al Midos Yosim Mishar b'nei Adam, that Shilpamim Yetzim is Gabra Aleim. That this person, I would say if I was saying Hifritz is to cause a breach on his self-control. He's causing a breach on his self-control, meaning, or another way of putting it, he's being extreme. Yosef, Yeshar ben He's being more extreme than other people. Right? Shapamim Yetzim is Gabra. That other people, from time to time, the Yetzirah will overcome them. Right? However, Aval.
B'shelo yasu hem devar gorem. Those people who don't cause such a thing.
Right, because the difference between him and they, some other people, the Yitzhara can get hold of them once in a while, right? But this person who's engaging in excessive conversation with women, he's putting himself in a regular situation and giving himself an opportunity to get involved, right, with the basic vulgar interests and desires of the urges of the goof, of the body, right? And that, right? Those people that get tricked by the Yitzhar every once in a while, they're not doing something which is going to cause it to happen, right? V'lo garamta atzman with v'chos aleihem hara, and they are not causing upon themselves that the Ra should come upon them.
V'lotel midivei Torah ki machshavat haTorah lo tachon neged einav v'od libo, and he nullifies from the words of Torah because he's thinking because the thought of Torah is not in front of him, and it's not before his eyes because he's doing this other thing.
Right.
And is also not in his heart. His
heart is also interested in this woman. His heart is open to this woman. His mind is now involved with this woman.
Right, and furthermore, his heart is turned to this woman, right? Below la sichata, and he does not talk with her. Ki hen shtei machshavot. He should not talk with her because now there's two competing interests. Is that
it seems like that. ולא שיסכתה כי הן שתי מחשבות שאין הלב סובלוסן כאחד. But he's mevatel from Torah. Why? Because his mind can't be on Torah, and his heart is now interested in this woman, and not not really even in her conversation. He's not really interested in what she's saying, right? That this is these two thoughts that the mind or the heart of the person cannot bear together at the same time. So therefore, that's why he's Rabbeinu Rose explained here that the person is gorem rola atzma. He's causing the Yetzer Hara to come upon him. Whereas other people may simply get involved and do things wrong. It's not like they're paving the path for themselves to fall into the pit. This person is paving the road to his own demise. Okay, that brings us to that. Yeah, if you just want to see where Pashashki is, I'll just show you briefly. Let's see. Yeah. If you turn to turn to Kuf Nun Hey, Sim Kuf Nun Hey, and Yerushalyim.
מבית הכנסת ילך לבית המדרש. After someone leaves the Beit Knesset, he should walk to the base Midrash. ויקבע עת, and he should fix for himself a time, ללמד, צריך, he should fix a time to learn. He needs so it be and the time should be fixed for him.
Very good.
Shelo ya'avirnu af im hu savor leharviach. I'm not entirely sure what that means.
Right, so this should be a fixed time that will not be forsaken, will never be transgressed. Right? Even if he will think, even if he thinks he'll be able to profit a lot, even if he's going to get himself other kind of a deal, but at that time he should not forsake and give up his kaviyas for limud at that time, even if he thinks he's going to get a lot of profit from some way or another. There are details in the law. We're just going to the Mechaber. We really want to get the same base, not all God adds on it. It's worthwhile reading it to get to see what the Mechaber says here.
Kodem?
Yeah, Raga, Vaf Misha, Eino Yudea, Lulmo. Vaf Misha, Eino Yudea.
Okay. Va'af Misha Eino Yodea Lulmo. Even someone who does not know how to learn, Yilech Beit HaMidrash. You should go to the Beit HaMidrash. The Schar Helecha Biado, and the reward is for walking he gets.
Right, even though he doesn't know what to learn, he doesn't not capable of learning, but simply by going from the base Knesset to the base measures to sit down and to learn, he'll miss the details what he could actually do, but he'll get at least the scar, the reward for going.
Does the Ramah learn that from the Gemara, or is it his own idea?
I think about based on the Gemara, I'm not sure exactly, but it's probably pretty fun for sure. Right.
Because I don't have so much experience with Mishnah Berurah, so like I'm not so accustomed. Like I know that usually whenever Rambam in his codification writes something, it's usually on a Gemara, and I guess so too by the Mishnah Berurah.
Well, the Mechaber in generally it's many times Gemara, but you'll see what we have here the Bir Halacha, the Bir Hagolah, excuse me, that gives you the citation to the source of the laws of the Torah. And so you can see here that's the Torah and the Gemara in Shabbos, Lamed Aleph. So you go here on the opposite side, so it says over there Torah and the Gemara in the Sukkah, and Torah and the Mishnah in Perek Avos. Right? So that's where you usually find. Sometimes it's from Yerushalyim, but many times it's based on Gemara.
Yikva l'makom, and he should fix for himself a makom, a place, like a certain seat. V'yilmod, and he should learn me'at b'mash yodea, and should learn a little bit from what he is able to, from what he knows. V'yichshov be'en einav, and he will like contemplate in his eyes, v'yichnas b'libo, and it will enter into his eyes.
Yerushalayim.
Okay, Yirat Shamayim, okay, so.
Now, base, this is what we want over here. Kodem, say base, go ahead. Kodem Sheilech.
Kodem Sheilech, before he goes the Beit Midrash, Libid Midrash, Yochal le'echol pat Torah Shacharis. He should eat pat shacharis, or pat shacharis, im hu ragil bo. But only if he's accustomed to do so.
If he's accustomed to do. Now, the toy, shiargable, and it's good that he should habituate himself to it. It's good that he should get into that.
So
Before Shacharis?
No, this is after that.
this is
Pasha.
after something before he went to the Beit Midrash.
Right. So again, the post can speak about whether it has to be exactly bread, maybe it could be mazonos instead, so maybe anything that you might be considered in place of Pasha. So that's
In place of Shacharis?
Hey, Pasha. Okay, we'll stop here. We can pursue this a little bit more in depth if you want. I don't know, it's fine.